far as classics go, the M81 Woodland pattern is one of the top tier. I mean, other than that, you got OD green, right? So the M81 Woodland, this is a true spec TRU, Tactical Response Uniform. So it matches the regular Woodland pretty well. It's a ripstop. It's not 100% cotton ripstop, but it does pretty well. So anyways, this camouflage pattern, as you see it offers some darker beiges and stuff like some tans, browns, some blacks and stuff like that, and of course the greens. Now, this started out in the Vietnam War as known as the ERDL pattern, or the Experimental Research and Development Laboratories, and that's how it was commonly referred to, but it was basically the leaf pattern. But it was basically all of this smaller patterns. So the greens were smaller, the blacks were smaller, the browns, beiges, you know, the whole pattern was just smaller. But when they did later development in '81 when it was issued, that's what you got. Bigger patterns, bigger chunks. So, you know, it's been around a long while. Some people call it the most venerable pattern, most universal pattern for, you know, woodland environments. I don't believe that's necessarily the case. I don't think anything is necessarily universal in nature, but, you know, with all that said, I don't think that the blacks are really a downfall. I think it's basically including shadow in an area that already has shadow. So anyways, with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and lay this out, and we'll go ahead and see how this stands out on its own, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so it is right here. To the naked eye, it stands out a pretty good amount, more than it's showing on camera. But that's because it's behind very light concealment. This is about the height of somebody standing, and it can be kind of hard to see, but it sticks out. It's got the brown is just sticking out like a sore thumb right now. So that's what's really giving it away, is the dark brown colors, but that's because the sun just came out. But anyways, you know, that's with it standing behind some light concealment. And next, I'm going to go ahead and get my assistant to put it on and stand somewhere here in the brush. Okay, so I have my assistant just facing away from the camera. She's standing, and I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to find her. Okay, step to your left. And there she is. So you can see the pattern works when you're in the shadows. And moving the camera a little bit. So it works when you're in the shadows. It blends in pretty well. And yeah, if you're behind some light cover, that's a really thin tree. But if you're behind some light cover or light concealment, then the thing blends in pretty well. If you're around it, it blends in. It doesn't really stick out like a sore thumb. I think the thing that sticks out like a sore thumb for her is basically the beanie I'm having her wear, but other than that, I think the thing blends in pretty well. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Okay, so that is the M81 Woodland here in Alaska in the summer months. Does pretty good. I would say that this pattern is probably still pretty effective in the fall and springtime when stuff hasn't really come out as much, but you're going to be more concealing yourself in the kneeling since the undergrowth hasn't really developed as much. You're going to get more browns and stuff. But in the summertime, I mean, you can be standing and you can blend in pretty well depending on where you're at. Just staying in the shadows typically helps you behind you know, maybe a tree or some thicker bushes where you are going to have some browns. Helps break up some of these darker patterns, but for the most part it does pretty well. But like for the top part is the part that would give you away the most if you're really light on concealment and it's not really covering your head because the undergrowth is about shoulder high in some areas. I would say maybe a woodland boonie cover, and maybe take some of the vegetation, maybe some grass, and stick it in to the sides, help break up the pattern a little bit. Maybe some actual, I don't know, some actual sticks or something, with some actual growth on it would help break up the pattern too. But you know, if you concentrate on your camouflage principles, you know, your shape is going to be the biggest thing, and big clumps of solid colors. So that's really what gives this away when you're out in the open, is the big clumps of solid colors. It's not necessarily the blacks and really anything else. I mean, the browns are going to betray you in this nice lush green, but you know, if you're behind a good amount of green and you're a distance away, then it's not really going to betray you too much. But anyways, just mind your method of camouflage when you are in this. It doesn't make you invisible, it just helps break up the pattern a little bit to make you harder to detect. So that's really the principle behind these uniforms, coupled with other principles of camouflage. Should be good to go. So not a bad pattern here in Alaska in the summer months, and probably not in the fall months either, but you know, we'll get to that later in the year. So stick around for that. Go ahead and leave me a comment below, and thanks a lot for watching.